Man's got his notepad out like I'm going to be Aristotle and say something worth noting. Fucking hell, man.
Oh man, I learned something. I write down notes every time I do one of these, and I finds me going down rabbit holes of stuff that I'm just fascinated with. So I always have this thing ready. I just
100%,
did
man.
Savan's podcast with him again yesterday, and he's a smart dude, man. And then he'll say something, I'll write it down. I'm like, man, I like the way you phrased it. Oh, cool. You know?
There's a lot of smart people out there, man. And they
Yeah,
don't get the light of day most of the times.
yeah,
So just keep an ear open, keep a notebook on handy. You should see my desk. It's disgusting. There's about 15
yeah,
different notebooks everywhere. One's for this, one's for that. But hey, we're always ready. I love it, man.
yeah,
Dude, you're
yeah.
a fascinating
Index
character.
cards too. I don't know about that, but I appreciate you being interested.
No, I mean, let's give us a little lowdown. What do you do, kind of in a nutshell, and then we'll start jumping in a little deeper.
Yeah, I retired from the Marine Corps about 20 years ago this October. After getting out, I worked for CrossFit for a while on the seminar staff. I did some special projects for CrossFit, Greg and Dave and Nicole. I found myself starting a leadership experiential learning industry business, not an industry business. And I do that's called the Crooked Butterfly Ranch. So I put on events and I teach, some of the beliefs that I've arrived at through my experiences. I recently, 3 years ago, started a veteran nonprofit to impact against veteran suicide. That's called the Big Fish Foundation, and we host a ton of events. We support other nonprofits and try to get veterans um, new lease on life, right? And when I'm not doing that, I'm hunting, uh, hanging out with Nicole and the dogs, and adventure racing. Doing expeditions and exploring things. So that's about it. It's pretty simple.
Dude, that's fascinating. It's fantastic, and it's fucking epic all at the same time. You know what I mean? And I want to jump into the crooked butterfly, man. Like, what
Sure.
made you go into that? Why? And then give a little insight.
Yeah. So Crooked Butterfly. My military career, fascinated with leadership and relationships and making people work together in teams and the camaraderie. And I think I have a knack for it. I definitely have an interest, maybe a hyper interest in that space. Um, I was offered a opportunity. Somebody had seen me, deputy chief of staff, I think, of the Army, saw something that I had done with CrossFit with Robert Guerrero and something else. And so he and his business partner, Mary, reached out and asked if I would direct their Triumph games. It's kind of like the Wounded Warrior games or Warrior games or things like that. And they were starting a new for physically challenged and adaptive athletes. So I did that out at West Point with them and did that event. And a handful of people there were really intrigued and fascinated with the way that I thought. And I don't know whether it was carried myself or conducted business, and they asked me to put on an event for 220 people in Vail,
Yeah.
Colorado, at the ski resort, and teach some of the stuff that I've arrived at believing and living my way of life about. So I did that event for them, and was like, man, I really enjoy this. This is fulfilling. I have something to offer, and so we started a business to do that for small companies, large companies, teams. I found myself training CrossFit athletes for the games, CrossFit teams for the games, regular run of the mill folks like yourself and I that just want to do something challenging and learn a little bit about themselves.
Mhm.
And it just kind of grew and changed. And I've sort of funneled that into some specific stuff instead of being so broad. And just really enjoy it, man. Teach people largely mindset stuff, leadership and mindset practices so that they can take ownership of their lives. To use the catchy phrase like be more resilient and whatnot. So now we still do that. I have a handful of clients, ranging from individuals, teams, and a couple companies. And but we produce an event called the Diesel Day. here at our property in Colorado, and individuals come in here and they have a really, it's a psychological experience that's kind of masquerades as a physical endeavor, across a 24-hour type workout. And I recently just launched this project called the Hard Way Project, which is a little bit more of a deep dive into what you get exposed to at Diesel Days, and we really explore some things. I do a little bit of programming, some awareness habit challenges, a hard way challenge every month, a couple workouts in the month that are supposed to support your workout regimen that you have already in place. It's not to replace it. And help you just achieve goals and dreams and ambitions that you might have for yourself, whether it's in the physical space or to remove obstacles that you're creating for yourself in your head. So that just launches. April 1st is the first month of that, and it's just a subscription service. And it's not like a lot of these other workout programs where you subscribe and they send you a workout a day every day and you do that and you log it in and it's fire and forget, right? Like this is a little bit more intimate. I'm much more involved, and you get emails, video calls, access to the private Instagram group, and share methodology, share thought processes, reflect together, and move forward, with a goal in mind for every 6 months in a year. So yeah, I'm super enjoying it. And I think it helps keep me going.
For sure, man. We need something to chase, man. Especially us dudes. We definitely need something to chase. If we sat around resting on our laurels about things that we did in the past, like usually that's when we kind of weather away, and next thing you know, oh, okay, yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
It's like no. You gotta keep striving to something, even if it's mastering a yoga pose or reading books. Like just fucking do something. And
Yeah.
the Hardware project really resonated with me. That's how I actually got pushed onto it. It was from Cal Steadman, a very good friend of mine, mentor back home. And yeah, he basically posts up about the Hardware project, and I'm like, sounds like my cup of tea. That sounds like a pretty hard thing to do, and we like hard things. Maybe
Yeah.
because we're a little bit less educated than most folk, but hey, I mean, we like challenges. We like getting smacked in the face. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I really resonated with it, mate. I really do. I think a lot of the time we seek out an easier way of getting something done, or a quicker or a faster, or something that's I can kind of multitask and half-ass it, right? 51% is a pass and stuff like that, right? And I'm like, okay, well, you might have got it done on paper, but like, what did you learn from it to then be able to bring it forward into something else? And most of the time, that is diddly squat and nothing, right? And you're like, okay, so if you got like a letter on a piece of paper saying you got a C, D, E, B, whatever, what does that do for life? Well, fuck all. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
what have we learned? And I think through that physical struggle, you learn so much. That's why I got addicted to this fitness thing since I was 12. And before that, swimming, 2 a days from 8 or 9, something like that. Like you're always just training. Why? Because you're able to like work through mental processes and unpeel layers of yourself, and you understand yourself a little bit more, right? And then if you understand yourself more, you can understand the people around you and the world around them a little bit more as well, right? So it's that conversation. It always comes back to that conversation. How are we talking to people? How are we talking to kids? It's like, oh, it's okay, get that done. Or is it like, no, this is going to suck. And if it takes you 10 times the length of time, that's okay. Because I'll be there
Yeah.
with you. We can sit in that hurt locker and figure it out together. That's all right. But I think I really resonated with that, mate. So I appreciate you launching that.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm excited for it too. I do this, I do the workouts and I do the challenges with everybody so that I can empathize more. And everything that I present, there are things that I do and I've adopted in my life. And so I found them to be pretty successful. Somebody else might not, and then maybe the project's not for you. But if it resonates with you and others, then it's here. It's a service that I want to be able to provide and help other people, again, take ownership of their lives and aspire to their dreams and stop being passengers in their own life, right? Like I think comfort, convenience, technology, mindlessness, it's all making us passengers, and we're just kind of walking through life and not getting the fulfillment that we deserve, you know?
Mm.
And so, yeah, I'm excited, man. It's going to be good. It's intimidating to make sure that all the content and everything is done and it's top shelf. And I just want to provide a quality product for people if they choose to use it.
Yeah, I mean, it's adding challenges for yourself as well, right? So you've got to do
Hmm.
things the hard way of like, okay, well, it might not just be running up a mountain or doing grace or whatever, right? No, it's actually sometimes you got to sit behind a computer screen a little longer or get in front of a camera a little longer. I was like, yeah, that might be difficult, and that's doing things the hard way. Why
Yeah,
it's going to be better in the long run, and that's what we're looking for, progress,
yeah.
right?
That's where growth occurs. Real quick, Carl Stebbins a great dude.
I love
It
him, man.
gets me happy thinking that you and him are mates. So, yeah, give him a shout out for me. Give him a hug when you see him next or whatever it is. But he's a fantastic human being.
Learned so much from that man. Learned
Yeah,
so much. Like
so
he's
talented, so talented.
100%, and the biggest thing that stood out to me, he did both my level one and my level two in the same gym. Funny enough, like it was kind of a bit of a deja vu. But the best thing that stood out to me was personable, and it really planted that seed, in my head of like, because I'm pretty friggin' dyslexic, right? So it's not the greatest when it comes to hard skills and trying to pass exams. So I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. Maybe this is just you got to settle for maybe a B. And he comes in, it's just personable, and it kind of planted that seed of you can actually get by with the soft skills. The
Yeah,
soft skills are the thing, and the hard skills will come over time. And yeah, okay, knowledge will occur, and you'll accumulate that over time. But it's those soft skills and making people feel welcome. That's where it starts, And he coined his phrase, "You can't teach give a shit." And
yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe you're
He's
onto something.
personable. He's down to earth. He's full of like just decency and respect and courtesy, and he's intelligent too, like
Very,
wickedly capable. And yeah, he's a great human being. Wrap it all up into that. He's just a great human being.
yeah. I have to
Yeah.
kick him under the bus though, because he is a Londoner. He's got the
Well,
wrong
you guys
football
don't.
team too, but
Yeah.
it's just to poke the bear a little bit. See if
Yeah.
he sends me a message saying "fuck you" or something.
Yeah.
But
He will.
no, oh, 100%. No, but
If he doesn't, then he's not the guy that we think he is.
you putting him out on fucking
Yeah.
firing range. I love it. Give me a little bit of what would you say if you're gonna make up an example of a hardware challenge, right? It could be inside the gym, could be outside the gym, just for somebody like a randomer. What would you write it as? What would it be?
Well, this whole hard way concept, really Nicole and a couple of my close friends, right? Like just Tosh, like you're stubborn, like you always got to do things the hard way. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, there's value to doing it, a little bit of struggle. It's like, yeah, I could take the shortcut or I could take the easy way, or more efficient way, and I'll make a decision to do that. But if I'm always just opting to do that out of impulse, then I'm not affording myself an opportunity to grow or to be challenged, right? There's a lot of times when I don't do things the hard way because I'm engaging in decision making, and it's like, hey, the hard way right now is not appropriate for the task set, right? And then there'll be times when it's like, hey, you know what? Like I could do it this way, but I really want to do it this way, and in experience this, I might learn something different about the technique or the process. I'll definitely learn something about myself, and I'll get enjoyment by the sweat equity or the labor involved, right? And so, a lot of just inner circle people reflecting on me and me thinking about and explaining why I'm doing something the way I'm doing. And we created that video the hard way with Eric Preston, not Eric Preston, yeah, Eric Preston and oh, geez, I keep mixing up Eric Preston and Puddin. Preston Smith. I don't know if you know Eric Preston from the CrossFit community, right? And
Yeah.
then Preston Smith, and I conflate the two names and I create Eric Preston. And I'm talking about Puddin. I just call him Puddin, in fact, he got his nickname Puddin from shooting that video. But Preston Smith's an amazing dude. And then a really close friend of mine, Ginger Mayfield, and Jonathan Mayfield, I call him Ginger. So Ginger and Puddin. We said, hey, let's come up and shoot a small little mini doc on doing something the hard way. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I've always wanted to. I've heard stories of this guy who just wanted to go out in the middle of the woods, find a tree, and just chop it down with an axe and chop it into a piece that was just barely able to carry it and walk it for miles until he couldn't carry it anymore, and then chop it in half again, and then take the smaller piece until he couldn't anymore, and then chop it in half again, then go back and get all those logs. And I was like, man, that's pretty freaking cool. So we designed that, and we set it to where I wanted to pick something out that was going to be hard enough and challenge me, but still be able to do it in 24 hours. So there presents a problem in itself already. Like go out there into the woods, you can't see right now, but I've got all these mountains, and look for a tree and study it and assess yourself. And like, man, I don't know if I can chop that down in 24 hours and then get all the wood back to the house. Oh, that one I definitely can do. That one I definitely can't do. And just trying to find the right tree that's going to take 24 hours, maybe 23 and a half, or maybe 24 and a half, whatever. Right. But there's a lot of self-assessment involved. There's some humility involved. There's ego that's involved. And then you get engaged with that. So I think it was February here in the mountains. We said, hey, let's do this. Let's shoot it. And then we did just that. We walked around the woods for a little while. We picked out a tree, thought about it, picked out another tree, thought about it, came back, had dinner, campfire that night. And then we just sort of talked. It's like, okay, hey, I'm actually a little bit doubtful that I'm going to be able to do this tree. Well, that must mean that's the tree for me, because it's going to excite me to work harder, stay working hard. It's going to challenge me and test me. And then if I do it, I do it. If I don't, I don't. It's not accomplishment or failure. It's assessing. It's the intent. And so that's what we did. We took an axe, a sled, a little bit of equipment here and there, and we went out and we chopped this tree down. And it took like 24 hours and 10 minutes, I think, or 24 hours and 15 minutes, nonstop, just chop, 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 carry, roll, chop, chop, chop. And we have that video on our YouTube channel. And that really was, I was surprised. It was a phenomenal piece of work that Puddin and Ginger put together. But they captured so much. And I was really surprised the positive feedback that I got from that, and people saying, oh man, that is exciting. That is interesting. Like, I wanted to talk about what was going through your head, your mind during the design, during the picking up the tree, during hour 10. And I was like, man, hey, there's something of value here for other people. And so many people said, hey, Tosh, what would you recommend for me to do this or to do that? And there's a couple people that are in the States right now that they do that tree chopping event every year. And they bring a friend out, they bring a couple friends out, they do it solo, whatever it is, but every year they commit to, hey, I'm going to go out and just to do this. And then my number one running mate, Chris Smith, he's always said, ever since I've known him, that every year he has to do something to earn his trident. Navy SEAL guy. And so every year he tries to go out and challenge himself in some way to say, like, hey, I still am earning my trident. And he's just wired that way. I think there's so many men and women that are wired that way, and they just don't know where to start, or sometimes they pick things that are not hard enough, so they don't get the fulfillment and the satisfaction from doing it, and so then that's kind of lost, or it's too hard and too challenging, and then they get overwhelmed and it feeds all the other negative stuff like self-doubt and disappointment and things like that. So I wanted to create a program that would help individuals be automatically scalable with how we design it to meet you with where you're at, right? To challenge you appropriately and push you and get you to go. And it's going to be non-judgmental. and it's going to set conditions for a ton of learning and growth, to get involved to occur. So and that's really the design behind the Diesel Days when people come here to our property and we do an event in person. And that's a standard event, but it's the design parameters are all the same. So it's pretty cool.
I absolutely love it, mate. Like I really, really do. I am obsessed with the mental processes that people go through in times of physical hardship and physical struggle, right? Like we see it on a very minute scale. Well, everything is relative, right? But we see it on a very minute scale within the gym, within a 60-minute class and a CrossFit class, right? They might
Mm-hmm.
have something discussed and they but just kick their ass. And you see it like round two, round three, round four, maybe 10, 12 minutes in, you can just see they're having a conversation with themselves. And you could pretty much transcribe it and you'd be about 90% accurate, right? Because we're all going through the same stuff. And you can see them just kind of having a fight with their own devil, right? And I tell them all the time, you are the devil you choose. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're either going to be the one that quits or they're going to be the one that ends up taking over. And it's so, so cool to see everyday folk, you know, an accountant, a single mother, a young man, an elderly person, somebody who's morbidly obese, somebody who's got no legs, like might not even be speaking English. We've got a language barrier going on. And you see these people go through the same thing and you see them get the same thing after it, right? The massive confidence boost, the dopamine hit, the psychological confidence that they're going to be okay regardless of what smacks them in the face, right? I am absolutely obsessed with it. And then at the same time, also obsessed with finding things that will break me.
Yeah. Yeah. Find your new limit, find your next new limit and the next new limit.
100%.
And it's simple to design hard way stuff. I think find a simple tool and go put it to work for time, right? Grab a shovel and a pickaxe, go dig a
Mm-hmm.
hole, go find another spot about 500 yards and dig a hole. And your goal is to dig two holes and then put all the dirt from the first hole into the second and all the dirt from the second back into the first. And just do that for who cares how long? Maybe you got 6 hours, maybe you got 12 hours, maybe you got 30 hours. I don't know. But just do that, grab a big giant rock and your buddy grabs a big giant rock or three rocks each. And you put your rocks in your buddy's pile and your buddy takes his rocks and puts them in your pile. And you do that until last man standing or whoever has the most rocks in their pot in the opponent's pile wins after 15 hours. Like it's very simple. And what that does is it breaks away from a lot of the conveniences and the comforts and things. It's just raw. It's you and a simple tool, an axe, a shovel, a pick. What more do you need? A sled, a wheelbarrow, whatever it is. But just the simpler, the more rudimentary the tool it is, it brings us back to our DNA, kind of like our starts is like original man, woman, and it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, man. Like it takes the complexity out of it, you know, and sometimes
Yeah,
we can second guess ourselves and be like, oh, this is too difficult and complex. I can't do this. I can't figure this out. It's like, dude, if you're just digging holes or you're walking from point A to point B, or you're
yeah,
trying to get as many laps as you can within a 24-hour period, or picking up friggin' rocks, it's like
yeah.
there
There's a lot
is
less excuses that can pop up. Oh, my chainsaw ran out of fuel. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Oh, there's a lot less excuses that afford you an opportunity to take a break or to have an escape. And it's like, yeah, hey, let's
I
go do
love
it.
it. You've got to face that internal struggle. And I also think people have to um experience what it's like to quit, to subdue to it, right? Because somebody's going to do it somewhere along the line. Even if we try something that's out over our capacity and it breaks us and we have to stop, right? And we're
Mhm.
physically forced to stop. Or somebody just mentally taps out and says, I'm over.
Yeah. I don't think quitting. I used to have a different relationship with quitting. Once a quitter, always a quitter, and quitting, and that's evolved a lot over the years. And I think we all quit. We will
Mhm.
all reach some reason why we quit or we yield or we succumb. And that is okay.
Agreed.
Understanding the why we quit or succumb or yield is what's of most import. And those decisions of why we quit can either be good decisions or bad decisions, or more favorable and less favorable, right? Well, I quit because I was cold. Well, maybe we need to have a discussion. Well, I quit because of A, B, or C. Okay, hey, that makes sense. And we can change our relationship with how we understand quitting or how we decide to package up failure. And that's what I want to teach people, right? We will all have a yield and a breaking point. And everybody's yield and breaking points are different on everybody's individual scales. It's how far can you get on your scale and feel like, hey, I'm still contributing, I'm still doing, and I'm resisting bend and I'm resisting to break. And then what decisions are involved with me trying to solve not breaking,
Mm.
solve not bending. And then what were the decisions and the thoughts and the feelings that were involved when I said, you know what, I'm going to quit. And it's not because I'm pointing at, oh, because the weather was bad, or oh, it was too hot out, or oh, you know, I ran out of fuel for my chainsaw. We're focused on ourselves. I have this thing with my checking in with left hand material. It's we tend to point at everything else, place blame, make judgments, make assumptions, find excuses, find reasons, rationalize. And every time you find yourself pointing your finger at something external, if you flip your left hand over, there's three fingers pointing back at you. That's three opportunities to reframe what you're thinking or look at something from a different lens and take ownership of what you have control over or what you are thinking instead of what the rest of this world is telling us to do. And that's how we fight being a passenger, right? And I can sit in the back of the bus and not be a passenger, right? I'm in the back of the bus, but I'm driving that thing. I just don't have my hands on the wheel. I'm driving through different manners, right? Oh, well, you know, Susan's driving. Don't have to do this, or I don't have to do that, or that's the reason why we got lost, or that's this, that's that. It's like, hey, you know what? You flip that over and it's like, hey, take ownership of some things so that you can be part of the process, part of the solution, part of the win. And it's one of the big teachings that we dig into really deep at Diesel Days with checking in with the left hand. And it's this pointy finger process that we fall into.
Be part of the solution, right? It's a bit
Yeah.
of initiative back home. I think it started either during COVID, during the start of it, or maybe midway through, um, just to help
Probably
some folk
sooner.
out.
I think COVID, everybody points at COVID as the excuse for the way things are. And you know what? No, COVID was a moment, a happening, a circumstance that amplified what was already seeded, and it just gave it an opportunity to be exposed on a world stage, right? Like these things of why we are the way we are, and we constantly, oh well, COVID and COVID. No, 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 no. That happened well before COVID. You know, COVID was just an event that showcased, right,
Yeah,
everything that we
100%.
have going on, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, shit, this is who we are. Because if we weren't who we were, COVID wouldn't have been such a big deal because we would already have had the good bricks laid, built inside of ourselves as a individual, as a family, as a community, as a society, that we would have defeated that and not have these things happening now that we're going to blame on COVID, and they're just continuing effects, you know. But
For
everybody wants to
sure.
point back at, oh, well, it was COVID. And it's like, no, actually it wasn't. That was just
And
the playing field that showed everybody that you're untrained and you got defeated, you know?
you're not prepared.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like walking in a ring with Mike Tyson and never having thrown a punch before.
Yeah.
You get punched in the face and you're like, I got punched in the face. It's like, yeah, maybe you should have learned how to box.
Yeah. And you know what? You're going to point, well, I was in the ring with Mike Tyson, and you're going to let everybody focus on that when it's like, no, you were a little bitch.
Yeah,
You didn't prepare,
100%.
you didn't train, you didn't take it serious. You were in it for different reasons, right? But we're going to use Mike Tyson to make ourselves a hero or escape being, you know, a pussy. So
100%. It's funny, like before I moved over to New Zealand, we used to do bitch work Thursdays with a buddy of mine on Thursday, of course. And basically we used to create a workout that was near enough impossible to be able to get it in the time cap. Or we'd make a score and be like, if you get under this, you're a bitch. right? And you had to absolutely dig yourself a grave, fucking lace yourself with a belt full of grenades and let it go off, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of times we're there just throwing up, just fucking crawling around the floor because you went out too hot to try and hold this thing, right? And it's
Yeah.
just a weekly dose of humility. Be humbled every time. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I thought I was this fit. I'm not as fit, and it's like I'm gonna try and mentally break you. And that's what we were doing to each other, right? And our little reward system was basically a high five and a bit of chocolate milk.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, sweet, let's do it again,
Yep.
and it's we got to do something that humbles us. That's for sure. But brother, I
Yeah.
got three questions.
Let's go.
What is the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Greatest piece of life advice I've ever received. I'm gonna go. I have so many of them. It's funny because I just reached over to my index card and I keep these three core things that I keep inside, and they're all but when in doubt, be kind is uh is a big one for me. And it's not necessarily being kind to others all the time either. I'm talking about, hey, be kind to yourself. It's a function of grace, and I found that to be really really useful for me in guiding me moving forward, especially with everything that I've been through. Leave it better than you found it was something I learned in Marine Corps boot camp. And again, that doesn't necessarily just mean in the physical sense. It's relationships, chance encounters with strangers. How about leave yourself better than you found it? When I go to bed at night every day, I tell myself, hey, did I leave myself better tonight than I found myself when I woke up this morning? Why or why not? What was it? So there's two for you.
Hmm. I like them a lot.
Mm,
I like them a lot, especially leaving yourself better than you found it, right? We're all going for progress,
yeah.
and it's just a bit of a check-in. Hmm.
Hmm.
I like that a lot. I'm gonna steal it.
You don't have to steal it, man. It's yours. Yeah, I'm a sharer.
Okay, question two is what is the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
The worst piece of life advice. Man, we're so we're so inundated with shitty advice all day long, every day by
Yeah,
imposters, right?
100%.
Oh, man. Yeah, that it's gonna be okay, you know? And that's weird because I believe in everything. It is all gonna be okay, but it's gonna be okay because we've developed capacities, thought processes, emotional intelligence, and things like that. That's why it's going to be okay. But by defaulting to, hey, it's going to be okay, that's not a that's not a phrase that I want to have in my head to issue because it uninvites effort, work, engagement. It's
Mm.
almost like laissez-faire. It's almost like just hey, it's just gonna be okay. Like no, and I'm not a fan of that. And this concept of good enough. I don't believe in good enough.
Don't get me
Um,
started on that.
yeah, yeah, we go on for hours on that. So there's two for you again,
Good enough.
and you're
Two
putting me on the
words.
spot too. So I'm kind of trying to, and I'm consistent the way I answer stuff. So it's not that hard, but you put me on the spot here.
Oh, that's good, man. You always, you allow people to work it out in real time. When you get,
Yeah,
one thing you're only ever going to get with me, man, is being real.
yeah,
It
that's the only thing.
might not be polished. It might not be fucking perfect. Definitely ain't perfect. But like, I'm just going to be real to you. That's it.
Yeah,
And I would expect the same from everybody.
that's who I surround myself with.
100%.
Right there.
They're just good people. I like people who are a little bit fucked up. They're gonna say some iffy things just for a joke, and then they're gonna get out and start digging holes for that
Yeah.
hard work. And I'm like,
You show me somebody that is not a little bit fucked up, and I'm going to show you somebody that's doing a really good job fucking hiding it, right?
yeah.
Because we all are. It's messy. Life is messy, and it's okay. Human beings are messy.
Mm. What did I say? Like, life isn't complicated. It's just hard. But people aren't hard. They're just complicated.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. What are the three
Last question.
words you tell your younger self?
Common courtesy, decency, and respect.
Mm,
Yeah, just that's it, man. 3 words. I guess it's not 3 words; it's four. But
whatever.
common courtesy, we'll call that one word. Put a hyphen in there.
Common
And
courtesy,
if I would
decency.
have, if I would have listened to those words when I was younger, man, where did I be at today? But I'm just glad that I found those to just like tattoo them in my heart when I did, and not finding them out only today. But live your life. It's common courtesy, decency, and respect. Those are the 3 things that I choose to live my life by.
Mm. Again, that's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Tosh, thank you so much, man. I'm gonna have to make
Yeah,
it out
man.
for one of these diesel days. Like,
Yeah, let's go. It gets expensive to travel from New Zealand, man. But
whatever. I'll get in a dinghy.
Maybe I'll come out there and do host one. You get enough people.
Yeah, bro, 100%. Like, if
I'd
you
love it. I
something
love
you're
New Zealand,
interested
man.
in, we'll figure anything out, mate.
Yeah. Right on, brother. Well, be well, man. Leave
You too,
yourself
man.
better than you found yourself when you woke up a couple hours ago. And I hope to talk to you again soon. And
Yes,
give
sir.
Carl my best too, because you'll probably talk to him before I do.
I will do. All right,
All right, on, brother.
we'll speak soon and we'll have a good day.
You too, brother.
Legend.
Bye.
Thanks, man. Peace. Bye, everybody.